Welcome to Blender. In this video, we are going to do some stained glass and make a little chain so we can hang it from window in Second Life. So I'm going to start out by clicking General, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to delete all this for right now. I don't need any of it. So the first thing you guys need to do is get online and grab yourself a stained glass image. I already went and got one, so I'm not going to let you suffer through that. But once you get it, just go ahead and drag it and drop it into your Blender file. Hit Alt G to center it, Alt R to clear its rotation, and I'm going to rotate it on the X by 90. Hit 1 on my number pad. Turn on my screencast keys because I forget every time. And I'm just going to scale it up a little bit. And then I'm going to move it back on the Y-axis. And 1 on number pad again. Shift A and make a mesh circle and rotate it on the X by 90. And I'm going to go ahead and scale it up to pretty close to the size we need. And then I'm going to adjust my image so that it's actually lined up a little better. That ought to do. Go ahead and select your circle, hit Tab, hit A, and then we're going to duplicate this thing. So Shift D to duplicate it, and then we're going to scale it down till it meets the other circle. And now from here, we're going to add some extra vertices so that we can make these areas and then just fill it. So I'm going to select these two and right click subdivide. S is the hotkey for subdivide. After you right click, I'm going to box select those two, right click, subdivide. These two, right click and subdivide. And those ones, right click, subdivide. And these two, right click, subdivide. And those two, right click, subdivide. Once I have those, I want to fill this area. And if I want to, I can grab one of them, hit GG and slide it to where it belongs. And the other one, GG and slide it where it belongs. Grab these two, hit F to fill, and GG, slide it, and GG and slide it. And the same with these two, F to fill, GG to slide it. Oh, I hit F a couple times. Let's see. Hold on. F and then select that one, GG, and slide it. So that looks good. So now we're gonna select. I'm gonna use circle select. So if I hit C, it's circle select, and I can scroll my mouse wheel up and change the influence. So I'm just gonna select all those all the way to there. Right click and hit F. Deselect those. Hit C again, and we're gonna select from there all the way to there. Right click, F to fill, and then C, select nothing, and then C to select those ones, right click, F to fill again. So once you have your border done, if you're doing a circle like I am, I need to select the inside loops here. And from there I can just hit F to fill the whole thing, and then Alt-C to go in X-ray mode. Now we can use our knife tool just to draw out our whole shape here. So I'm going to hit K for the knife tool, and I'm going to start here where my branch is and just start drawing that out. And every time you get to a little point area, just make sure you stop there. If you get to a spot where you can't go any farther by clicking, you can right click and that'll clear that, but keep those. And then you can just select another one and then continue on. So right click. Right click. And try to stay pretty even with your border because we're going to use the image to texture it. So This is real tedious, but it makes it great. You get a great result out of it. Try not to miss none here. I believe that's my last one. Yep, looks like the last one. So, spacebar to confirm all that. Probably shouldn't do that much without hitting spacebar here and there. So if you just hit spacebar, it'll confirm it, and then you can hit K and start from another point. But I didn't. So I'm going to Alt Z, go out of X-ray mode, and hit Tab. Now we can go ahead and apply our modifier to make this thing turn into stained glass. So if you go to modifiers and go all the way down to the wireframe and click it, it clears all the inside, but we want the inside, so we're gonna do boundary so that it gives us a boundary, because right now it's hollow. So click boundary to give us a boundary, and then if you do replace origin, you can uncheck it and it'll fill it all in for you, which gives you all your inside faces. So now that we have that, we can add another modifier, which is the bevel modifier, and that's going to clean up that pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and bump the segments up to 3, and that's going to make it nice and clean and look like stained glass. So now that we have that, we can prepare this thing to be unwrapped. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply these modifiers. Click the little drop down here, apply the top one, and then apply the bottom one, and that applies it. So here's our geometry. And if you go into edit mode, hit 3, and just select all the faces. And once you have them all selected, we can hit U, unwrap, and we'll get that. We can go here, and we have our texture in here, so I'm just going to plop it on there like that. And I'm actually going to go to shading and go to materials, create a new, and then create another one and hit new. Go to edit mode while you're in shading, and it should have everything selected still. The first material gets applied to the whole model. The second material doesn't get applied to anything unless you assign it. So I'm going to select the second material and click assign. And I'm also going to name it glass. And we can name this one lead if you want. So now if we go into material preview, well, we are in material preview. That's okay. So go back to your glass, select your green node, hit Control T, move those up a little bit. And we have the material there, so we'll just select it from there, and that puts it on the mesh. And then we can go back to UV editing, and I absolutely hate this. This is not how I wanted it to do. So the unwrap I did was a bad one. So if you come back to this window and hit 1 on the number pad to get a front view, and then right click, hit U, and do a project from view, that makes it much better to work with. I'm going to hit Control Space over here to give me a full screen. Hit A and scale it all up till it fits. And you may have to move this around a little bit to get it to look right. So that's what I'm doing, trying to line everything up as best I can. That looks pretty good. It may need scaled down just a hair. And on the X a little bit. And then if you have points like this, you can go ahead and just move those because they need to line up. So go over your UV, check everything out. Try to get stuff pretty close because if it's not close, it won't look right. This guy's way off. Move him. And just give it a little once over. Check it out, see what it looks like. If you see something you want to adjust a little bit, go ahead. See, like this is no good. This gotta come down here. Look, I missed a whole one there right there. So my tree's gonna be broken. I'd have to actually Control Z all that to fix that, so I'm not going to. Control space, and we'll go up here and turn material preview on, and I'm gonna turn the overlays off. That's what, look, I missed another one. I missed two of them. But you can see the textures on there now. So to learn from my mistake, always make a copy before you apply modifiers. I did not, so now I'll have to Control Z all that to fix it. But if you would have made a copy of it um, and put it in like collection 2 and just hit it, then you wouldn't have to go back and Control Z all this to fix it. You could just go back to your copy and start over again from there. So the modifiers aren't applied. But anyway, I can have a broken one, so it's fine. We're going to go to our lead, and we're going to give it a lead material. I'm not really going to bake these, so it don't matter. I'm just going to give it a darker color so it looks better. Because I don't need to bake them because the picture's lining up with everything, and the lead can be a solid color in SL. You won't even really be able to tell. What I am going to do is go back to layout. I'm going to hide the picture in the background and make sure that I don't have goofy stuff like this going on. So what we can do here, we can actually go into edit mode, hit Alt Z to go into X-ray mode, and then we can just box select stuff and move it around. So I'm gonna grab like this area and just move it over here, because the only thing I'm moving really is well, I'm moving both parts actually, but you can't really tell. So if you see areas that are a mess, you can fix them real quick. Like this over here could use a pull. We're going to vertex select. Oh, that's organs I'm seeing. Okay. Yeah, like this. I'm actually going to add a whole loop cut there. And you can see the texture moving a little bit, but that's okay, as long as everything's lining up good. If you do get in a mess where the texture's moving too much, like this part, what you can actually do is go to your materials tab, select nothing here, and then select your glass, and then click select here, and just go P by selection, then hit tab, select your border, and hit tab again. And now what I did, I separated the glass. I will show you. I separated all the glass from all the rest of it. So I can put that back. And I want to select this and go into edit mode. And now I can move these if I'm in X-ray mode, so that they don't look so goofy and they actually cover what they're supposed to. And you can sit here and adjust everything all day long. But I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so we've got our stained glass made. Now I want to make a chain to put on our stained glass and a little nail. So first thing I'm going to make is the nail. So I'm going to hit Shift A mesh and we're going to do a cylinder. And I'm going to change the vertex of the cylinder, or the vertices of the cylinder down to like, I don't know, 8. Yeah, maybe 10. Yeah, we'll do 12. That way it looks round at least. And we're going to rotate that on the X by 90. And GZ to move it up, probably about there. I'm going to go ahead and hide the background. And we'll scale this guy down. About nail size. That looks good. I'm just going to make like a little spike. So go into edit mode. Cast keys as usual. Edit mode. And I'm going to add a loop cut. And move it up here. And I'm going to add another loop cut and move it pretty close to the same area. And I'm just going to scale that loop cut. Oh, wrong button. Scale that loop cut down. And grab those vertices and scale them down. I'm in X-ray mode, by the way, so Alt-Z to get in and out of X-ray mode. And take a look at how that's looking. That's looking pretty good. This part I could probably scale a little smaller, so back in X-ray mode. Oh, I accidentally switched to. I'm gonna scale this down. And scale that down a little more too. Not that matters, you probably won't never see that part anyway. So we've got our nail. Now I'm gonna make a chain to go around the nail. So first thing we need to do is model our chain. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide this for now. And Shift A, mesh, torus, and I'm gonna zoom in on it with period on number pad. And I'm gonna lower these cuts down. And I want to try to have even space here on the y-axis. So I'm gonna hit 7 to look at it. And that looks even. And then I'm gonna lower these down to like 9. That way it's pretty round. And right click, shade smooth it, hit tab, and I'm just gonna grab Alt-Z to go in X-ray mode. I'm gonna grab the right side of it, hit GX, and just move it on out to give it a chain shape. And back in object mode, right click and set geometry to origin, which will snap it back and have the point of origin in the center. So we've got our chain link made. We're going to parent this link to a plane and have the plane as an instance following a Bezier curve. So the way we do that with an array, the way we do that, we need to make a plane. So Shift A, mesh, plane, and I'm going to go into edit mode and scale this plane to fit like that. And then we're going to go back into object mode, select our link, and then shift select our plane, and then control P, and we're going to set parent to object. Now we have that set up. We also need a Bezier curve, so while that's there, I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to unhide my stained glass. That way I can see what I need to do with my Bezier curve. So now I'm going to hit Shift A, curve, and if you have extra objects turned on, there should be extra objects curves in the add-ons. And we're going to take a path. Let's hide this again. So the path is there. Should be. If I can find it, there it is. It's little. We can go ahead and scale that up now if you want to. So now we need to add a couple modifiers to the plane. So select the plane, go to modifiers, wrench or spanner, wherever you're in the world. Add modifier, we're going to add an array, and we're going to add modifier curve. So under the array, we're going to change fixed count to fit curve because we're going to be following a curve. And that's going to go blank. And if you select the curve little button there, you can get the NURBS path, which is our curve, and that stretches it out there. Then you can, over here for curve object, you can also select the NURBS path, and that will set it there. Now if we go back into edit mode and move hit A, select the whole plane, hit G, X, and move it to the point of origin. So the edge of it's close to the point of origin. When we go back out, that sets the edge of the plane to the curve start point. So now that we have those set up, we can go over, so have your plane selected, go over to the object properties, and there's an instancing here. So you want to select instancing and change that to faces, and it'll put all the links on each plane. So what this is going to do, you can have an array follow a curve, but the array will distort as it follows the curve. But now having this ring or link instance to the plane will distort, but the link won't. So we can go ahead and hide this one, which is our original, and just see what we have here. So now if we grab the curve, we can stretch it out and we can extrude it, and it will just follow like that. So let's back that up. So we have this set up. Now we have one more issue we're going to have to take care of, because let me go to top view and select a curve. Go into edit mode. So if I take this curve and I stretch it out like this, it's fine. But if I go back into object mode and then I move my curve to where I need it to be, it does that, but that's no problem. To fix that, you can hit Q and apply all transforms, and that sets it back to where it is. But the scale of our plane changes. In order to fix that, you need to go to curve. The reason it's doing that is it's changing the mean radius. So if you hit N and go to item, you'll see radius. This radius is at 1. It needs to be 1. So to fix that, you can go into the curve object and right here where it says curve deform, just turn that off, and that'll set your plane to be the way it's supposed to be. So I just hit Q, and ignore this chain. You guys ain't getting there yet. You'll get there in a bit. So I hit Q to apply my transforms. So if you haven't set it to your quick favorites, it's up here. You go to Object, Apply, All Transforms, and right click on it, and you can add it to quick favorites. So just so you guys know, and the chain's going to look like this in a minute, but no peeking. So let me back all this back up, and that way this is straight again. And go back over here, and well, I'm gonna go back over and turn that back off because I undone it. So we need one more thing to finish this guy up. So let's go back in object mode, and we're gonna shift A mesh. Nope, not mesh. Shift A empty, and I'm gonna take a sphere empty. Okay, and drop it on there, and then we go to the curve. Nope, don't select the curve. I'm sorry. Select the plane. Go back to your modifiers. Go to the array modifier, and there's object offset. So check that box and hit the drop down, and we can click the box, and we're going to select our empty and break stuff. I broke because it was the wrong empty. I must have the second one in there. I do. I selected the empty, which is my reference image, instead of my empty, which is my circle. That's why that broke. It's the wrong empty. So now with this empty, we can rotate the empty on the x-axis and it'll flip our plane around. But we're not quite lined up here, so I'm going to select a plane, go to the factor of the array, and just back it off until they all line up like they're supposed to. So now they're overlapping and twisted, and they all look good. Okay, so we got our chain made. Now we need to, we're going to go hit 1 to go into front view. And we're going to go up here and we're going to unhide our circle. And probably should rename that to thing glass. And I'm probably spelling that wrong, but I don't care. Uh, so our chain's clearly way too big. So let me go ahead and adjust this a little bit now because it'll be better if this ain't in the way. So I'm going to hide this again. So to adjust this, you grab the chain part under here. You can unhide this and grab the main and go into edit mode, hit A, and we're going to scale it down real small. Probably about that size, maybe a little smaller. Okay, and then you need to tab back into object mode, select a plane, go into edit mode, and then scale it down also to fit. So just make sure it's right on the edge of that guy. And then you can hit tab. Okay, so when I scaled my plane down, it moved it from the origin point. So if you look, our chain doesn't start at the top of the curve now. So let's go back over here. We're going to go into edit mode of our plane, and we're going to just hit G, and we're going to move it back over to the point of origin. So that looks pretty good. So now, if I go back out of edit mode, now it starts at the top of our chain again. So if it's all goofy and it starts way down here instead of up here, that's why. I'm going to go into X-ray mode just so I can see this thing better. If you move it in edit mode, it moves with it. So Z and move it up to there, because that's where my nail is up here. And I'm going to try to center it up on the nail. Something like that. Looks like I got it way too long. I'm going to grab that vertex and GX and move it this way, and then move the whole thing to the right again. And then I can grab this point and this point and GZ and move them down, and that'll start twisting our chain. Then I can grab these guys and move them down. I'll scale them in, flip them back up, grab the center vertex and move it up. I'm going to hit A and right click and subdivide it one time, just to give me some more vertices to work with and make my chain a little sharper. Now I can grab those and move them down, get them like right there. And you just want to move these points around and put your chain where you want it. And it all adjusts while we're going, and it bends pretty good. Easy, move those guys up. And probably scale them on the X. That looks pretty good. This one needs to come down here. Back that up. I'm not in front view. I'll have the chain all wiggly if I don't go into front view. And we'll put that one there. We'll put this one here. And I'm okay with it being offset. I don't care. And back in object mode. And out of there. And there's our chain. Now to hide the plane, you can select a plane, go into object properties, and down here where it says viewport and instancer, you can select both of those, and that'll turn it off from rendering and leaves you with just a chain by itself. So I'm checking out my chain and it's a little offset here. So I'm going to hit 3 on a number pad and all of this needs moved. So I'm going to grab the nail also. So I have the Bezier curve or NURB curve selected and the nail selected. I'm going to hit GX and GY and move it over. And then I'm going to select my curve, hit Q and apply all transforms and it'll jump back onto the curve where it's supposed to be. And that's looking pretty good. I like it. If you wanted to, you could make some little hoops here and make the chain go through them. And if you need the chain to rotate more, you just go back down to well, just select your empty, and then if you rotate the empty on the X, this stuff will rotate. So if I hit RX and just move, the chain will rotate because it's rotating the empty, but you can't see it. But you want to be able to see the chain, so you just RX and rotate the empty. And that'll rotate your chain to where you need it. And you can just move your camera to the view, and that looks good. That looks good. That looks pretty good. I can move my nail on the Y a little bit, get it through the hole. I can actually adjust that nail to fit better. And I'm happy with the modeling of it so far. Okay, so we got our chain done and everything. Now we need to actually unwrap the one link. That way we don't have to unwrap all of them. So if you select your plane and go to and open it up, then go to the torus, and if it's hidden, unhide it. Once you select your torus, you can hit period on number pad and that'll take you to it. And we'll go into edit mode, and I'm just going to select the inside link here and go into edge select, right click, mark seams, and then I know there's an edge here. I think maybe not. I'm gonna hit tab and hide this again so I can see my link better. So I want one of these vertical edges and just right click, mark seams, and then tab. I'm gonna hit Q and apply all transforms again just to make sure. That was in object mode. So back in the edit mode, A, right click, or nope, U, unwrap, and go check the unwrap. And the unwrap looks good enough. So we've got our link unwrapped. Now we need to make all the rest of the links real. So I can go ahead and unhide my stained glass again. And we are going to select our plane. Then we're going to go to Object, Apply, Make Instances Real. So that'll make all those real. And then we can apply our modifiers. So apply the array and apply the curve. Then we can select our plane and just delete it. You probably should make a copy of that before you do that. That way, before you apply all the instances and everything, that way you have a copy to manipulate later and append to other files and things like that. So now all these chain links are separate pieces, which is going to create a bunch of geometry, but that's okay. So we can grab our torus and go down to the bottom and shift select our other torus. That selects all the chain links. And just select one of them. I'm going to select this middle one up here with shift select. And then control J, and that'll make them all one piece. And then when you go into edit mode, or UV editing, all the chain links are stacked on top of each other. So I'm not going to bake anything in this today. We're just going to use the textures we made and some second life colors and call it a day with that. We can take our screw here and unwrap him too. Let's see here. Put it on the pad, tab. I'm going to shade smooth him, see what he looks like. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to grab the bottom edge and mark seams. terrible. And then I think I'll just grab this and mark seams because that should be enough. Then A, U, unwrap, UV editing. Yeah, that's fine for what we're doing. I'm going to hit tab, shift select a chain, tab back into edit mode and make sure these aren't overlapping. Doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it anyway. I'm going to scale it down. Oops. Hit L on there to grab him. Scale it down and just get it out of the way. So that should be fine. Layout. Okay, we have everything made and unwrapped. Now we need to apply some materials to this stuff because some of it doesn't have materials. So the nail, I'm going to go down here and just add new material. And I guess we'll color it kind of darker gray. The chain, same thing, new material. And I'm going to make it a darker gray too. And go in here and take a look at it. Should be, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to color these in Second Life. That's why I'm not putting textures and unwrapping and everything. I'm just going to throw a color on them in Second Life and call it a day. Okay, the materials are applied. So now I'm going to join all three together. So I got my nail selected. I'm going to grab my chain and grab my stained glass and hit Control J and join everybody together. So we've got this thing done now. We could technically export it to Second Life, but Celestine is torturing me because her and I both know this thing's probably going to break if you make it small and hang it somewhere. As soon as you step away from it, it's going to collapse on itself. So she's forcing me to do physics models. So you guys get, or not physics models, load models, I'm sorry. So you're getting load models today. A rough intro to it. So the best thing to do to start with the load models is go to your object properties and go down to viewport visibility, and at the bottom of there there's a bounds. So if you click that bounds, it puts a box. So this is the bounding box that all objects have in Second Life, and you want your physics model to match this bounding box. So in order to accomplish that, we need, first thing we need is a circle. So we're going to make a mesh circle, and I'm going to turn the vertex down a pretty good amount. We want it to be round, but not crazy round. So probably like 16 would be good. I'm going to rotate on X by 90. I'm going to scale it up. I can't see it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. There it is. Scale it up and shrink it down to about there. And I want to turn the bounding box on for it also. So since it's selected, we can go ahead and check the bounding box. And you can see that the bounding boxes don't match up. So in order to make them match up, I need to do some other stuff. So we're going to go into edit mode with this guy and hit 1 on the number pad. And I'm going to go ahead and fill it with F, and I'm going to move it forward so that it matches up here. So GY, move it forward. And I want to line those two edges up. So GY, move it back a little bit. About there. That looks good. And to get the top, what we need to do is give it some geometry up here. So I'm going to grab this one vertex and I'm going to hit Shift D and I'm going to move it up on the Z until it's pretty close. And now I'm going to make a triangle out of it. So I'm going to hit E and extrude it, E and extrude it again, and then select that vertex, select the other vertex and hit F. And then I'm going to select this vertex last. So let me select those two and then select that one last. So because it's at the top, I want to select it last. Then I'm going to, let's see. Go to active element and scale it down. That's going the right way. So I'm going to hit S0. And that geometry is still there. It's just scaled down to nothing so you won't see it. So when you step away from it, the object's going to collapse, but it'll collapse into this circle. And you won't see that little triangle at the top. The chain's probably going to disappear, but that's okay. We just want the circle to make sure we can see the image. So we have that. Now I need a copy of this. So I'm going to hit L and Shift D and move it on to Y about this way. And you see the bounding box got bigger. So we want to try to line that up. So I'm going to hit GY and move it right about there. And that's pretty darn close. Try to get that bounding box lined up with the other bounding boxes is the main goal here. And I'm going to select all these. Hit Alt Z and select them. GZ and try to line that up better. There we go. So now our bounding box is lined up. So we can take this and move it over here so we can see it better. And this is a load model. So now what we have to do is unwrap this load model so it matches that one over there. So I'm going to put it back over there so I can see what I'm doing. Go into UV editing, hit A, and unwrap it. It doesn't need any seams because it's just planes. So now we have to turn on, oh, we have to put a material on it because it's still white. So new material, and we got our glass there. Now I can select one of these islands and move it over here and scale it up. So this is the front one. And I'm going to scale it on the Y and try to make it fit the circle pretty good. Scale the whole thing up a little more. So now I'm just adjusting this so that the picture is going to be, whoops, it's going to be the same as the object. To make this easier to adjust and actually see where the image is laying on here, we've been in this mode. So we can go to solid view. That way we can go in X-ray mode, and then we can change our material type to texture, and then we can see what's going on over here. So now if I go onto the right side and I rotate, I can see that my texture's not going to line up. So if I can zoom in over here, rotate it a little more, make sure everything's lining up pretty close. It doesn't have to be perfect. The texture might jump a little bit whenever it collapses because it's going to show the new one, but that should be fine. So that's one of them. Now we need to get the back side. Move it up. Scale it up also. Scale it on the Y a little bit. Zoom this back out. And just get it roughly close to what we're doing here. And then I'm going to rotate it to make it fit also. And this will be the back side. And that's close enough. Okay, back to layout. So now that we have that, I'm just going to move it over here. And looks pretty close to the same. I'm going to rename this to LOD1. And I'm going to make another copy of it. And I'm going to name that one to LOD2. So now that we have our three load models, we need to apply our scale, size them down, and check our face orientations before we export. So let's check our face orientations first. So that's under the overlays panel, and go down to face orientation, or if you put it on your quick favorites, like I did, you can check it on the quick favorites. I have two red ones, so I'm going to select both of them, go into edit mode, make sure I'm in face select mode, shift select one and then the other, or select one and then shift select the other, and hit shift in. And if it don't turn blue, go ahead and flip it to the inside. This, you might have to open this, and that'll take care of that. And that all looks good. Also, we need to apply our scale, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and hit N and go to item to check your scale. If your scale is not 1, just select 1, go to object, apply all transforms, or if you have it on hot or on your quick favorites, Q all transforms. So do mine for good measure. They're way too big, so we definitely need to scale them down. But I noticed something earlier, and if you guys turn this thing to X-ray mode, which is Alt Z, but you can't do it in materials, so go here. And if you look, you probably have a chain link right in the middle of your object. So I'm going to go into edit mode and make sure I'm in X-ray mode. Whoops, what did I do there? And select all that X and delete the vertices because we don't need a chain link in the middle of our object. Okay, Alt Z to get out of there. We can go back into material preview and back in object mode. So I'm going to select all 3 of them, pull my end panel back out again, and I'm just going to scale them down to they're about half a meter on the Z. Probably about, yeah, that's good. And since our scale isn't right, I'm going to hit Q, all transforms, and double check, make sure each one of them changed. And they did. Okay, let's get these guys exported. So, we actually don't need the second load model. I'll show you why in a minute. Basically because it's the same size as this one, we're just going to copy this one. So we're going to delete that one. Let's go ahead and export this one. File, export Collada, and find your Blender file. And I made a folder for stained glass. If you need to make a folder for it, just click that button there. And I save all the stained glass stuff in this one. So let's see, open this up. We're going to do selection only and uncheck copy. Well, I don't know why I did that. Operator presets, open SimSL, open SL Sim static, and then uncheck this copy here. And selection only is already done. Stained glass DAE is fine, and I'm going into my stained glass folder. Good, export. And this one, file, export, Collada. And I can scroll down here, go to stained glass, and we're just going to rename this one to LOD. And all the settings should be the same because we didn't change nothing. Or we haven't closed Blender. And export. Now we can jump into Second Life and give these guys a look. So build, upload, mesh model. We're going to do this one. And I'm going to do it without load model first. Go to physics and pick cube. And then we can go back to level detail. Make sure you change this bottom one to 0 and calculate weights and fees. And it's 0.55 or 0.533 to upload, so we'll go ahead and upload it. And I've done a whole bunch of these, so we're going to drag this top one out. So this one is without load models. And I'm going to go ahead and throw the texture on there. I've already uploaded texture. If you need to upload texture, you can push this button, upload image, and then find the image that you used and go ahead and upload it. I already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. And then it's right here. I'm just going to drop it on there. And then the other two came in colored because we already have them colored. So the lead and the chain and the nail should all have a color already. So that's that one. And if you back away, it's holding its shape pretty good. But we're going to upload it with the load model. So build, upload, mesh model, and stained glass DAE. I'm still going to turn this on 0, but for the medium, I'm going to load from file. And from the generate, I'm going to load from above. And then I'm going to go browse and choose our load model. That's why I didn't do the second one. So now we go to physics, get our cube on there, calculate weights and fees, and now land impact is 5 even. So we will upload that and drag it out. Move it forward. So it's kind of the same there. I'm going to drag the texture onto it. That looks good. Now, if we back away, we can see the difference between the two. So as I'm backing up, they look pretty close to the same until you get right here, which is very minute details. But if you look on the right one, if you can even see that through the through the video, the sun is showing on our load model, but it's not on the one we didn't use, and it disappears right about there. So that helps with your load models, and the smaller the object is, the more likely you need a load model. So I'm going to get rid of the one without the load model. Don't know why I did that. Right click, more options, delete. And I'm going to edit this one. I'm going to scale it up just so I ain't got to look at it so close. So we'll scale him up. And I'm going to go to texture. I'm going to go to select face, and I'm going to select, actually I'm just going to turn on full bright because it makes it pretty. Then I'm going to go to face select and select the face in the center. And we can turn the transparency up on it a little bit. Actually want to get it turned so I see that car. That way. Got a little flickering back there. So once you get the transparency the way you want it, you can also like walk around behind it too, and you know, zoom out and look at it this way. Kill this, so you know, see you can see through it. So I'm happy with that. The car stopped flickering too. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So if you like the videos, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.